What do I like about being a musician in Wellington? I need to think about that for a second.
The songwriting and composition that's happening here is really wonderful.
I always knew that I wanted to move down to Wellington at a certain point because it felt like there was a little bit more of a buzz or sense of community down here.
I always say Wellington's shaped like a bowl and everyone kind of just knocks around at the bottom of the bowl.
There's a lot of good jam sessions that happen, so we all get together and play music.
I keep saying to people I think I'm probably going to die young just because I'm like always tired and always poor. Yeah. Sorry, that sounds really dark.
I think that it is possible to be a full-time creative in Wellington, but the only people that I see make it work are people who have many different strings to their bow and can do more than one creative job.
You definitely have to be able to have that extra job, day job, or in a lot of cases, a lot of musicians like myself might teach part-time.
Maybe other people have a different approach, but I find I end up having to be involved in so many diverse projects to cover the income.
It's like this shitty relationship. There is this dynamic and aspect of it that you really love, but then it's really punishing as well. Like you're, like paying rent and like managing all the costs and repairing your gear is just really difficult to manage. Yeah.
I feel like there are so many barriers that exist in place that make it not feasible to be solely a creative. Cost of living, housing.
The housing crisis needs to be solved. Like that's the problem.
Infrastructure to support the arts.
Some more council-led initiatives would help, definitely. Some more funding by the council.
Offering more venues, or more venues opening up to the idea of paying musicians to come in.
Commissioned works.
There could be a cultural shift towards valuing the arts a little more. That'd certainly help.
Increasing fees for players. Sorry, that's like a bullet point list.
I know a couple of musicians who have moved back to hometowns because it's just cheaper to live there. They're able to afford a house.
Talking with friends who've come back from overseas, like London, for example, there are actually enough gigs that even with that high cost of living, it's workable.
I think we've had a really lucky few years in terms of people who've had to stay in this city because there hasn't been options of other places to go. As we sort of start opening the borders again, there's going to be a mass exodus of people who are going to go to places where they can actually do those things obtainably. And that'll be a real shame.
Seems like everyone in their mid-20s who's an actor or an artist of any kind is thinking about overseas or thinking about travel or just thinking about getting out of the city. Like, it seems scary to be the last person left in Wellington making art because it's such a collaborative endeavour, and the kind of all of the exciting thing about Wellington is the community of artists. But the fact that everybody feels like they've got one foot out the door at the moment, it feels like you don't want to be the last one left in the pot.
The economic pressure of just playing music isn't good for the creative process. Like it's kind of plainly obvious. I find it generates in me a kind of paralysis.
There is a demand for the art in the city, like it's huge, and it's kind of what Wellington prides itself on, as being the cool little arts capital. And the fact that most of the artists in the city, at least the ones making the interesting art, need to have other jobs to make it work is, yeah, it's unsustainable.
I was a dish hand for 2 years, have done gardening, have done bar work, and that kind of mental strain can take away from your creative sensibilities.
There are so many talented people living here that are so restricted by what their sort of 9-to-5 obligations are. And I think that if it was something that was supported in a proper way which enabled us to do that, it would be unreal the amount of stuff that the city could produce.
It also means that I am a slave to my phone, and then if a gig pops up that's really well paying or a great opportunity, I do feel obligated to take it, which is a bit unfortunate.
I find it incredibly sustaining to do it from a perspective of fulfillment. I think the music sustains me, and I guess that's why I do what I do, this combination of jobs now. For me, it's about keeping the music sacred.
I actually want to stay in New Zealand and I want to stay in Wellington, but it just feels like there's less and less reasons to.